Miami, a playground of sun, surf, and luxury. The ocean breeze mingles with the scent of gourmet cuisine, and everywhere wine, bottles worth thousands, poured without hesitation. But behind this effortless glamour lies an invisible battle. The rare Burgundy in your glass? It's a survivor. It has endured a journey that should have destroyed it. Wine is fragile. It doesn't just spoil, it transforms. The wrong temperature? It tastes like vinegar. The wrong vibration? It loses its balance. Light exposure? It triggers a silent chemical war, breaking down flavors that took decades to develop. A single misstep, a few degrees too warm, a careless bump in transit, and that $1,000 bottle becomes worthless. All that effort, all that history, gone in an instant. Yet, somehow, hundreds of wines arrive in Miami every year, flawless and ready to be savored. Behind the glamour lies a hidden world of precision and obsession. Climate-controlled planes, shock-absorbing crates, refrigerated shipping containers that monitor temperature to the decimal. Every mile is a battle against time, physics, and nature itself. Most festival goers never think about the journey. But once you know what it takes to get that perfect pour into your glass, you'll never look at wine the same way again. Fine wine begins its life in sacred ground. Sun-drenched vineyards in Bordeaux, Napa, and Tuscany produce some of the most coveted bottles on earth. Every grape is a treasure, carefully handpicked at peak ripeness. In the quiet of dawn, skilled harvesters move through endless rows of vines, their hands working with precision. A single mistake, a crushed grape, a bruised skin, can alter the wine's destiny. Once harvested, the grapes are rushed to the winery. Time is the enemy. If they sit too long, fermentation starts too soon. Inside the winery, stainless steel tanks and aged oak barrels stand like guardians of flavor. Here, vintners control every detail: fermentation speed, oxygen exposure, the delicate balance between acidity and tannins. Some wines age for months, others for decades. But aging is just the beginning. The real test comes next: transport. Bottles are sealed, labeled, and prepared for shipment. This is where the nightmare begins. Wine is alive. It breathes. Heat, humidity, and movement can destroy its character in hours. Imagine a vintage Bordeaux, aged for 20 years, suddenly exposed to a blistering 90-degree warehouse. The structure collapses. The taste warps. Years of craftsmanship ruined in an instant. To prevent disaster, top wineries use climate-controlled storage. Underground cellars, humidity regulation, temperature stability. Every condition mimics the perfect aging environment. Some wines are packed in insulated crates lined with thermal barriers, protecting them from the scorching sun or freezing air. But storage is only the first challenge. The real battle begins when these precious bottles hit the road. The moment a fine wine leaves the safety of its cellar, it enters a world of risk. From the rolling vineyards of Bordeaux to the bustling streets of Miami, its journey is fraught with invisible dangers. Heat spikes can strip a wine of its delicate flavors, leaving it flat and lifeless. Vibration can trigger premature aging, altering its structure before it ever reaches a glass. Even air pressure changes can force corks to expand or contract, subtly shifting a wine's taste in ways that even the most skilled sommeliers can detect. Transporting fine wine isn't just about moving bottles. It's about preserving the soul of each vintage. And in the high-stakes world of global wine logistics, precision is everything. For the most valuable bottles, air freight is the fastest and safest option. Elite wineries and distributors often rely on specialized carriers that offer temperature-controlled cargo holds, ensuring that the bottles remain at a constant 55 degrees Fahrenheit. This is crucial, as even a brief exposure to high temperatures can trigger an effect known as cooked wine, where heat prematurely oxidizes the liquid, dulling its complexity and depth. But even in the controlled environment of an aircraft, risks remain. The rapid changes in air pressure at high altitudes can subtly affect the cork, creating micro-expansions that allow tiny amounts of oxygen to enter the bottle. Oxygen, in the right amounts, is essential for wine aging, but too much, or too sudden an exposure, can cause it to deteriorate rapidly. Because of this, some vintners refuse to transport their wines by air, no matter how high the value. Instead, They opt for a slower but more stable route, the sea. Cargo ships transport tens of thousands of bottles at a time in specialized refrigerated containers known as reefers. These massive, steel-walled chambers are designed to maintain a precise climate throughout the journey, preventing temperature fluctuations that could compromise the wine's integrity. Inside, each reefer is equipped with state-of-the-art temperature and humidity sensors, constantly feeding real-time data back to logistics teams. If a single reading falls outside the acceptable range, an alert is triggered and corrective action must be taken immediately. But the sea presents its own unique challenges. A transatlantic shipment from France to Miami typically takes between 10 and 14 days. During this time, the container must endure shifting weather conditions, from the cold, damp air of the North Atlantic to the humid, tropical heat near the equator. If a reefer malfunctions mid-journey, the entire shipment could be lost. Some premium distributors employ emergency response teams, on-call specialists who can divert a compromised shipment to the nearest port, reload it into a new, properly functioning reefer, and continue the journey with minimal disruption. And then there are the logistical nightmares that no amount of technology can fully prevent. Customs inspections are one of the biggest threats to fine wine in transit. When a shipment arrives at a major port, it often undergoes rigorous checks, sometimes requiring the containers to be opened for inspection. If this process is delayed and the reefer is left exposed to heat for even a few hours, the entire shipment could be ruined. To combat this, many importers use bonded warehouses, secure, temperature-controlled storage facilities where wines can be held without immediate customs clearance, allowing distributors to gradually release them as needed while maintaining perfect conditions. For smaller, boutique wineries, the challenge is even greater. Unlike large-scale producers who can afford direct shipping routes and private storage, small-scale vintners often have to consolidate their shipments with other goods. This means their wines may share container space with less sensitive cargo, like olive oil or spirits, which don't require the same meticulous handling. A poorly packed container can lead to unintended consequences. Imagine a case of fine Burgundy positioned next to a shipment of heavily scented spices. Over time, the corks can absorb surrounding aromas, subtly altering the wine's profile. Once the wine reaches land, the journey is far from over. The final stretch, the road to South Beach, is just as critical. Miami is a wine's final test, and it's most dangerous. The air is thick with humidity. The sun is merciless, baking asphalt and turning car interiors into ovens. Even a few minutes in the wrong conditions can undo years of aging. A single pallet left outside too long? Ruined. A delivery truck stuck in traffic, its cooling system struggling against the heat? Disaster. Every movement is planned, every stop calculated. There is no room for error. But temperature isn't the only concern. Vibration, something as simple as a bumpy road, can have profound effects on fine wine. Prolonged exposure to movement can accelerate the aging process, leading to a phenomenon known as bottle sickness, where the wine's natural balance is disturbed, muting its aromas and flavors. This is why many high-end transport companies use shock-absorbing suspension systems in their trucks, reducing road vibrations to an absolute minimum. At every step of the journey, technology stands as the guardian. GPS tracking allows distributors to monitor each shipment in real time, ensuring that no bottle is ever left in the wrong conditions for too long. Humidity sensors prevent labels from peeling or mold from forming inside wooden crates. Some of the most advanced systems even use AI-driven predictive analytics, alerting logistics teams to potential delays or temperature fluctuations before they happen, allowing for proactive rerouting or intervention. Despite these precautions, the unexpected still happens. In some cases, shipments are delayed due to weather, political instability, or supply chain disruptions. In extreme cases, private charters, fully climate-controlled aircraft, are hired at the last minute to ensure wines arrive on time. It's an expensive solution, but for a festival like South Beach, where guests expect nothing less than perfection, no cost is too high to ensure that every bottle arrives in flawless condition. Through it all, one thing remains clear. Fine wine isn't just shipped, it's protected. From vineyard to cellar, from ocean to runway, from truck to tasting room, every mile is a battle against time, physics, and nature itself. And when that perfect pour finally reaches a festival-goer's glass, few will ever know just how much it took to get there. The final stretch is the most delicate. The wine has already survived an international journey, crossing oceans and continents in a cocoon of climate-controlled precision. But even after navigating customs, ports, and warehouses, the most dangerous part of the trip is still ahead, the last mile. This is where a single mistake, a delay, a packaging failure, or even a few extra minutes in the Miami heat can undo months, years, even decades of careful preservation. Miami's tropical climate is unforgiving. February may be cooler than the peak summer months, but the city's humidity, intense sunlight, and unpredictable weather pose serious risks to fine wine. One wrong move, a delivery truck stuck in traffic, a pallet left outside too long, and the festival's entire wine selection could be compromised. To prevent this, event organizers and distributors use a combination of temperature-controlled transport, precision timing, and expert oversight. Every bottle must arrive at the exact right moment, in the exact right condition. Most shipments are stored in bonded, climate-controlled warehouses near Miami International Airport or the Port of Miami. These facilities act as holding zones where wines are kept at a stable 55 degrees Fahrenheit until the event is ready to receive them. Unlike traditional distribution centers, which may handle a mix of perishable and non-perishable goods, these specialized warehouses cater exclusively to wines and other temperature-sensitive luxury products. Every storage unit is insulated, humidity-controlled, and monitored in real time. As the festival approaches, the final phase of logistics begins. Dedicated last-mile delivery trucks, equipped with refrigerated compartments and shock-absorbing suspension systems, are loaded with carefully curated selections. High-end distributors assign trained specialists, sometimes even certified sommeliers, to oversee the transport, ensuring that every bottle is handled with care. These experts understand that even minor shifts in temperature or positioning can impact the wine's integrity. Timing is everything. If a shipment arrives too early, it risks prolonged storage at the venue, where conditions may not be as carefully controlled as the warehouse. If it arrives too late, organizers are left scrambling, and the wine might not have enough time to settle before being served. For optimal results, deliveries are scheduled within precise time windows, often coordinated down to the hour. Some ultra-premium wines, especially aged vintages that are highly sensitive to movement, arrive days in advance, allowing them to rest before being uncorked. Packaging also plays a critical role. While standard commercial wines can be transported in basic cardboard cases, high-end wines require custom packaging design to shield them from temperature fluctuations, vibrations, and light exposure. Wooden crates with foam or gel inserts cushion each bottle, preventing breakage. Some wineries go even further, using vacuum-sealed, nitrogen-flushed packaging to protect against oxidation during transport. The festival itself is a logistical masterpiece. Thousands of bottles must be received, unpacked, and distributed to the right stations, from exclusive tasting rooms to celebrity chef pairings. Every wine must be stored at its ideal serving temperature. Reds between 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit, whites and champagnes slightly cooler. To ensure this, event organizers deploy mobile wine storage units, refrigerated carts, and rapid cooling stations. Some high-end sponsors even provide custom-built wine cellars at the venue, allowing their vintages to be stored in perfect conditions until the moment they are poured. For the most exclusive tastings, the process is even more rigorous. Limited production vintages, rare Bordeaux, and aged Burgundies are often kept under lock and key, accessible only to trained sommeliers who oversee their handling from arrival to pour. These wines must be uncorked with precision, sometimes requiring specialized tools like Coravin systems, which allow the wine to be poured without removing the cork, minimizing oxygen exposure. Even after all this effort, the journey isn't over. Wine must be served in the perfect glassware, at the perfect temperature, with the perfect timing. A sommelier's touch is essential, ensuring that each bottle is decanted properly, allowing its aromas to open up and its flavors to reach their full expression. Aged wines, particularly those with delicate sediment, must be poured with extreme care to prevent disturbance. Every detail matters, because in the world of fine wine, perfection is not an option, it's a requirement. And then, finally, the moment arrives. A festival goer lifts their glass, swirls the deep ruby liquid, and takes a sip. The tannins are smooth, the flavors complex, the finish long and lingering. They may not know the science, the planning, the obsession behind that single sip. They may never think about the thousands of miles it traveled, the technology that protected it, the hands that ensured its safe arrival. But that's the magic of wine logistics. It's a battle fought behind the scenes, all to ensure that when the glass meets the lips, the only thing that matters is the taste. Fine wine isn't just a drink, it's a story. A tale of sun-drenched vineyards, of careful craftsmanship, of time itself shaping flavor in ways no machine ever could. But for that story to reach its final chapter, in a glass, at the South Beach Wine and Food Festival, it must survive a journey that would destroy lesser creations. From the moment grapes are picked to the instant the cork is pulled, every step is a battle against time, temperature, and turbulence. Cargo planes hum through the night, their climate-controlled holds cradling bottles worth thousands of dollars. Refrigerated containers cross oceans, their sensors transmitting real-time data to prevent disaster. Trucks glide down Miami's sun-scorched highways, their shock-absorbing suspensions guarding against vibrations that could alter a wine's very character. Every detail, from the angle of storage to the humidity of a bonded warehouse, is controlled with near-military precision. All of this effort, all of this obsession, leads to a single moment. A swirl of the glass, a deep inhale, a sip, the balance of fruit and acidity, the whisper of oak, the echo of a vineyard thousands of miles away. Most festival goers will never know what it took to bring that moment to life. They won't think about the cutting-edge logistics, the relentless attention to detail, the quiet war against spoilage and imperfection. But for those who do, wine will never taste the same way again. So the next time you raise a glass, pause. Look at the liquid swirling inside. That isn't just wine. It's time, bottled. It's a voyage across oceans, a battle against heat and motion, a victory over chaos. Every sip carries the echo of the vineyard where it was born, the hands that crafted it, the science that protected it. Perfection is fragile, and in the world of fine wine, every perfect sip is a victory.